Now to some positive news where the government has stayed the ban on scrap metal business until proper guidelines are developed to regulate this sector. Trade Cabinet Secretary Betty Maina has further said the government has formed a multi-agency team that will discuss and address the legislative gaps that exist in the law that governs the scrap metal business in the country.
In January, President Uhuru Kenyatta banned exports and dealings in scrap metal, hitting hard traders in the business. The ban came at a time when the country was witnessing a surge in the vandalism of critical infrastructure. Under the ban, traders are not allowed to engage in the business until proper guidelines are put in place to regulate the sector. Scrap metal traders have been piling pressure on the government to rescind the decision.
What are the timelines are we looking at?
When will the ban be lifted?
Trade Cabinet Secretary Betty Maina has told the National Assembly Committee on Trade that the government will not lift the ban until proper regulations are instituted. Maina has said the moratorium imposed will only be lifted if stakeholders' concerns are heard and dealers in scrap metal adhere to the laid down guidelines.
I cannot police you everywhere. I think at some point we also need to become disciplined as operators. We need to become disciplined as business people and ensure that we are not abetting criminal activity.
Member of Parliament for Dagoretti South, John Kiari, said the decision is punitive to traders and exporters who solely depend on the business as their main source of livelihood.
The public and industry players are feeling that there was no need for a ban if the laws that are there are sufficient.
Exporters and dealers have been advised to apply afresh for licenses, and so far only 91 dealers have applied out of 700 dealers.
Requested and invited dealers and traders, smelters, everybody in the entire ecosystem of scrap metal. We've invited them to apply for licenses.
The CS noted that although the law in place is exhaustive, it is not sufficient enough to tame the runaway vandalism in the country, which is costing the economy billions of shillings. The moratorium on scrap metal trade is a double-edged sword that has cut both ways. And although the government says that proper guidelines are being worked on through a joint meeting between the private sector and the public sector, there seems to be no light at the end of the tunnel on when the ban will be lifted. Caroline Jenga for Prime Edition.